Here's a throw by Merton. It is a collision at the plate. And Pierzynski not only bangs into Barrett, bangs onto the plate, and here they go.
Welcome back, everyone, and thank you for joining us for this episode of the Crosstown Baseball Podcast. My name is Kevin Sullivan, and with me is Matt Cannon. We'll get it started here this week by talking about the Chicago Cubs and how they've been doing. It's been a bit of a tough week for the Cubs. As of this recording, they've lost 3 of their last 4, and they've had the injury bug start to hit as well, with both Matt Boyd, who was an all-star last year and appeared for Team USA in the World Baseball Classic this year, and Cade Horton both being placed on the IL. And I won't deny that I am a bit concerned, especially when it comes to Cade Horton. He was lights out in the second half of last year, and it looks like it's not looking good. The most recent reports that I saw today are that he is going to be visiting Dr. Keith Meister in Texas, who is the same doctor that performed Tommy John surgery on another Cubs pitcher, Justin Steele, who is still recovering from that Tommy John surgery. He's expected back in late May, early June, it looks like. But yeah, this is not a good thing for the Cubs. All of a sudden, the injury bug has started to hit the starting rotation, is now 60% of their current rotation is on the injured list. So this could be a big problem here on the north side. But luckily, they also have had some bright spots in the form of Edward Cabrera, who was acquired this past offseason from the Miami Marlins in exchange for top prospect Owen Casey. He's had 2 starts so far for the Cubs, and he has looked really good, going 11 2/3 innings and is yet to give up a single earned run. So that's something, to be happy about as a Cubs fan. But obviously, with these injuries, it's gonna be a good test of their pitching depth. When they placed Matt Boyd on the IL, they recalled Javier Assad, who pitched for Team Mexico in the World Baseball Classic. He's going to be starting, I think, today. This is being recorded on April 7th. So he will slide into rotation for a little while. Colin Ray will likely take the slot of Cade Horton for now, as he did for Justin Steele last year. But yeah, this is some big news coming out of the rotation. I'll be curious to see
big
what
losses there.
Yeah,
Big losses there for you. And do you think? I mean, we've talked about it. Other people talk about it. These cold weather months are so challenging, especially for pitchers.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like we're seeing a good amount of pitching injuries all around the league.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are these cold weather teams. So
Right.
I don't know. Do you have thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, there could be something to that for sure. You go from Arizona and Florida where it's nice, it's sunny almost every day, it's warm, and then all of a sudden you're thrust into, playing games in Cleveland and Chicago and, these cold weather cities where all of a sudden it's, 30s, 40s and windy and rainy and just not nice weather. I would think that has an impact. I mean, just speaking personally, I know that my joints and muscles are stiffer when it gets cold outside, and I feel it more in my body. So I can only imagine how they're feeling when they're trying to throw 100 miles per hour. But yeah, I definitely could see it having a bit of an impact. I know there's been some other injuries around the league as well, which we'll get into that later in this episode. But yeah, it's a big loss. If Cade Horton's down for the year, I think that really impacts the Cubs' playoff chances, and we'll talk about it later in the episode. Of course, the Brewers are getting off to a hot start, just like they do, it seems like every year. Um, so, it'll be interesting to see how they play it. Obviously losing Justin Steele last year and then potentially losing Cade Horton this year. That's just, man, it's just bad luck. It feels like Pryor and Wood all over again.
Oh, PTSD there for or even for me growing up in Chicago, every year it'd be like, okay, this is the year they're both going to be healthy together, and then yeah, never happened.
It was like two
Um,
or three straight years, I feel like, where we would just have that hope, like, yeah, they're going to be healthy this year, and then they're just not.
I remember like finally being excited to watch a Mark Pryor start, and that was the start that he got hit with a line drive on his arm,
Yeah,
and I remember just like thinking then I was like, oh my God, this man is cursed.
yeah,
Like that. But yeah, I mean, let's hope. And the really sucky thing about these injuries happening in April is like, even if they were next month in May, you kind of start to get like senses of reinforcements maybe starting to happen. The Cubs obviously want to compete,
right.
so they don't want to give up. But like, no one's trading away guys in April.
No,
Um,
it's
May
too early.
maybe,
Hmm.
June for sure, July for sure.
Yeah,
So they're really going to have to kind of ride with what they've got for the next month to 2 months before they can get some reinforcements. And I guess it's up to them to just not sink down further into the standings.
yeah. And I mean, they did make some moves this past offseason to kind of reinforce that pitching depth. Obviously, I already talked about them acquiring Edward Cabrera. But they have Javier Assad, they have Jackson Wiggins, they still have Colin Ray. Yeah, but obviously these guys are not, Justin Steele and Cade Horton. And obviously Cade Horton's young. We don't fully know what he'll be yet. But then like they also have Jordan Wicks, who's also injured right now. And he was expected to potentially be a big piece in this rotation eventually. So yeah, it's a little early. They're gonna have to get by if he's out for a long period of time, which it kind of seems like he will be. And until Justin Steele gets back, which hopefully will be in the next like month and a half, maybe. I know he's been throwing. He hasn't gone out on a rehab assignment yet, but we'll see what happens. The other concern with the Cubs is they are just not hitting right now. It seems like they're all kind of scuffling. Nico Horner seems to be doing okay, but PCA, um, Bregman, and um, Hap also like it just seems like none of them. Hap is hitting homers, but he's not really hitting for average. Matt Shaw hasn't been doing much. That's going to be an even bigger concern. I mean, if they have no pitching and no hitting, that could be a big
Yeah,
problem.
well, and again, as you said, with the Brewers off to a hot start, it's easy to get behind quickly.
Right.
We always have to remind ourselves, as baseball fans, that it's only been a week, a week and a half of the
Yeah.
season. Things will things will even out. Bats will heat up. Pitching will settle down. But yeah, it's always nice when in the first couple weeks things look good, as opposed
Yeah.
to having to tell yourself, well, it'll get better.
Right, exactly. You want to get off to a good start, and unfortunately, I feel like the Cubs are just habitually slow starters for whatever reason. Even when they're projected to be good and they're projected to compete for the division and maybe, go deep in the playoffs, for whatever reason, I feel like April and May, they always seem to struggle for the
Cold
most
weather,
part.
man.
Yeah, it probably
The
is.
the Brewers have that nice retractable roof.
Yeah, that probably helps. It wouldn't surprise me. But the one bright spot has been so far, the Cubs have been playing excellent defense. Um, Ian Happ and Dansby Swanson, both Gold Glovers, have made some really nice plays. Nico has been pretty solid. That could be their one saving grace. Is their defense? That's something they've really seemed to hone in on the past few years, and I mean up the middle with Swanson at short and Nico at second and PCA in center. They're probably one of the best, if not the best, in baseball. Um, and they've had they've had some miscues a little bit, but for the most part, they have looked really solid, and hopefully they can keep that up. But you know, it all comes down to the pitching. And Jamison Tyone pitched yesterday, I believe, on Monday, and he looked really solid, but then the bullpen gave it up. So it's like,
Tale as old as time.
yeah, and they definitely tried to rework the bullpen a little bit this offseason and try to plug some holes. So, as of right now, I'm a little bit at I don't know what to expect. Um, they might be at a bit of a crossroads already here, just like 2 weeks into the season. Um, but Craig Counsell certainly has his work cut out for him, I would say. Do you think, and as a Sox fan, as a neutral or a neutral party, I guess, do you think they're going to make a move potentially if Cade Horton is out for the season?
I mean, like I said, hopefully, and I don't know the Cubs minor league system as well as I probably should. Hopefully, there are some reinforcements down there that can, step up
Hmm.
and kind of wait for teams to be more willing and able to trade other resources. I don't know if there's I actually was thinking recently, and because someone on Twitter pointed it out, that Lucas Giolito is still a free agent, and he was throwing for teams, and he was not he's not anything like he used to be, but he was not terrible. So might be a couple people like him on the free agent market that the Cubs can take a look at. Would I like Lucas Giolito to be in a Cubs uniform? Not really, but I it would be it's less painful now than it would have been a few years ago.
Yeah, you'll learn to live with it. That is a great point, though. Like, you still have some pitchers out there who, for whatever reason, have not been signed. I feel like Giolito, if they want to make a signing, he would be the guy to go after, just
Yeah,
given
there
his
was
age.
there were people that I'm surprised. I mean, just looking at like his stats and everything, there's a lot of people surprised he's not with a team, even on a minor league deal. Maybe he didn't want a minor league deal. We don't know what he's thinking,
Right.
but it could be a reinforcement worth taking a look at for the Cubs because I mean I wouldn't be in panic mode if I were you. I think the division is still, besides the Brewers, plenty weak enough. I know the Pirates are have been pretty good lately as well. Um, but I think it will even out. I think the Cubs bats will get hotter as the weather gets hotter,
Mm.
and it's not time to panic just yet. But yeah, you definitely don't want to start in a hole.
Right, right. Yeah, it's not a fun feeling for sure. That being said, they obviously they have some depth in the minors. I mentioned um mainly Jackson Wiggins. He's the probably the most intriguing prospect. I'm also curious to see if they potentially bring up Kevin Alcantara, who's an outfielder, but he's been tearing it up in AAA. I could see him potentially being on the big league club sooner than later, especially with the impending free agency of Ian Happ and Seiya Suzuki, who luckily the latter, Suzuki, he looks like he's going to be back on Friday, is what they're saying, and he should return to the lineup here. They've been without him so far after he suffered uh, a minor, I would say pretty minor knee injury, sliding into second, playing for Team Japan in the World Baseball Classic. So it'll be good to get him back. Maybe they can at least get the offense started here, and hopefully they can designate Michael Conforto for assignment because
I
God,
was
he
gonna
is
say,
brutal.
who do you think they're sending down for him? But I mean, Conforto was always a curious signing, and he came pretty late, if I recall, right?
Yeah, and it was a depth signing, I think, and I really think he's one of those that he only made the team because Seiya got hurt. If Seiya doesn't get hurt, I honestly don't think he makes the team. But he made a play in Cleveland a couple days ago that was just brutal. He cost the Cubs a no-hitter. It was Cleveland's only hit in the game, and it was a ball that was hit pretty hard, but he came in instead of going out. And if he had just gone out on those first few steps, he probably would have made the catch, and it just went right over his head. So he's a
Yeah.
little brutal. I kind of hope that they decide to part ways with him. Um, but that being said, we'll see what happens. Hopefully the Cubs can figure it out here. But that being said, we'll move it over to the south side here and start talking about the White Sox, who They've looked better since our last episode here. So you want to tell our viewers about that? What's been going on?
Well, they couldn't have looked much worse, that's for
That
sure.
that is true.
No, I'm very happy to, have positive things to talk about this week, as opposed to a 1-5 road trip and the former superstars suing the team and whatnot. A extremely surprising sweep of the AL Central, or the AL champion Blue Jays, which apparently all that needed to happen was me predicting the Blue Jays would win the World Series this year, and then they get swept by the White Sox. So, you're welcome, White Sox fans.
I was gonna say you're
Uh,
their good luck charm.
yeah. Um, no, it was a very impressive 3 games because and I don't know if you saw, but we had an opener for 2 of the 3 games, which was
Mm.
Grant Taylor, and then he actually opened last night's game against the Orioles as well.
Oh, interesting.
And it's been working out really well. It does limit him. He was eyed to be a main setup guy. He's one of the stronger arms in the bullpen. But so far, it's worked really well. And people are joking, like, is he gonna at the end of the season? Is he gonna have 50 starts on his hand? Like,
That would be
because
hilarious.
he has 3 or 4 starts in the last half a week essentially.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
but no, pitching was great. Offense did what it needed to. There was some power. There was some good defense. It was a very good 3 game series for them. And even the loss to the Orioles last night, it was a one run loss. It was still a really good game. That's kind of all you can ask from this team, of when they lose, if you lose competitively as opposed to embarrassingly.
Yeah.
Um, Austin Hayes was placed on the IL, unfortunately, which, not that Austin Hayes is like, oh my God, we're going to really miss his productivity, but the outfield depth for the White Sox is pretty atrocious right now. They are, Acuna and centers kind of looked rough. Ben and Teddy is essentially a DH only at this point. Um, and they just announced today that Brooks Baldwin is out for the season, which they were kind of waiting for him to have a, kind of be a reinforcement, because he's a pretty versatile, unique player. But alas, we're gonna just have to make do with the Derek Hills of the world, and see what happens for the next few months before other reinforcements can happen. But we'll see.
I don't
But
even know
yeah,
who that is, to be
yeah,
honest.
man. Well, I didn't until a couple days ago. So,
Are
uh,
you surprised that they didn't call up Sam, and I'm going to butcher his name, Sam Antonacci?
no, and I was actually just listening to another podcast that was talking about him today, but it's too early. They still want him to get some. They're trying him in the outfield. He's an infielder,
Mm,
and he's still playing some infield in AAA right now.
hmm.
But I think they're gonna need him to get more reps in the outfield down there before just throwing him into the fire here. Um,
Yeah.
but we will see him, you know, in the not too distant future, I imagine. Um, but yeah, no, the weekend series was great. Walk off win. I mean, I was not able to watch the game, but I kept getting alert scores, and so when the Blue Jays scored in extras, I'm like, well, all right, that's what this is going to be. And then I was pleasant surprised that they walked it off. Yeah, I hope and they were, as of this recording, they were winning 2-0 against the Orioles right now. I haven't checked it in the 20 minutes we've been talking, so I'm a little nervous too, but we'll see. Um, but
Let's
yeah, and
see. I'll
then
look it up while you're talking.
yeah, I'm too scared to look. Um, but then, of course, another exciting thing that happened, which you're the one who sent me the video of it being announced, was Ozzie Guillen is having his number retired, and he was informed on the broadcast. It's, you know, I have some mixed feelings about it, because on one hand, I love Ozzie Guillen. I think he was a terrific manager when everything was working and he wasn't fighting with Kenny Williams and all that stuff. Obviously, he was also a great player for the White Sox, so there's merit there. Um, and I'm also happy that the number's just going to be retired instead of this like unofficial, like no one has worn 13 since him. Like, if I don't love that with teams, I would just like if you don't want someone to wear the number, just retire it. Like, it's kind of stupid in my opinion. So I'm glad we're just going to retire it. But at the same time, it's like I I'm
My question is
sympathetic.
it work? Okay, I understand that he was the manager of the '05 team, but and he was an above average player. But like, I think the White Sox are a little too quick to retire numbers. Like they have a good amount, and like a
They
lot of these
do.
guys aren't going to make the Hall of Fame. You know, Paul Konerko, great player, not going to make the Hall of Fame. Burley, maybe one day, but not anytime soon, I don't think.
I'm okay with Konerko and Burley on what they mean to the team. You know, I think the biggest you say they're quick to retire numbers, and I think the biggest example of that was retiring Harold Baines' number while he was still an active player,
Yeah, I
which
forgot
is
about that.
insane. I mean, that was I
Yeah.
think like a couple years before we were born, but like, and then he came back to the team a couple times. Like that is insanity to me. Like I wonder if it made sense to everybody at the time, but so
Hmm.
yes, I do agree that they are a little quick to retire numbers occasionally. I
Except
don't
for
mind
Ozzie,
Burley.
apparently.
I don't mind Burley. I don't mind Konerko. Obviously, Thomas, needed to. But people are talking about like, oh, who's next? Is it going to be Jose Abreu? No, I love Jose Abreu, and luckily he wears a spring training number anyway. Like no one's really going to wear 79 again, most likely.
That's true.
But they
Yeah.
don't, and I know he won MVP, but like no, they don't need to retire his number. Ozzie, I'm happy for him. He means a lot to a lot of White Sox fans. It means a lot to him. I mean, he was very emotional. He was talking about how he's so happy that his family gets to be a part of this and everything. And it makes sense while Jerry does still own the team because there's sense of there's it's good. So I'm happy for him. It's not like I'm think, oh my God, finally he's so deserving. But I just it makes me sad a little bit because I really do think he could have been one of the great major league managers of the 21st century. And you know, should he have gotten another chance in Miami? Yes. The Fidel Castro comments were stupid, but like, you know, I think he was a good manager, and I think um
He
he
didn't
only
really
has
do
himself
much
to
with
blame.
them, honestly.
I mean, he was only there for 1 year,
Yeah.
and
Oh, yeah,
that
that's right.
team that was they got Burley, they got Jose Reyes, they got uh Josh Johnson, like, and then they traded them all to the Blue Jays. I remember, but like they were supposed to be really good that year, and then the Castro comments came in like April, so early in the season. That was also the first year of their new stadium. I remember,
Mm.
so it was supposed to be this like big triumphant. It was also I think the first year they were the Miami Marlins, if I recall too.
Yeah, they changed when they
Um,
moved to that stadium.
right. So and then if Ozzy was kind of the scapegoat of that season. Like it was a disappointing season for them, but like they probably could have bounced back with some additions.
Hmm.
Um, and then yeah. So anyway, happy for him. But yeah, that's White Sox news. We're very, very happy about the sweep. And did you check the score by the way?
Yeah, it is 2-1, top seven
Okay,
currently.
could have been worse. All right.
Yeah,
Um,
so they're hanging
so we
on for
got
now.
yeah, so and we got one more game with the Orioles tomorrow and then an off day. So um yeah, we will hopefully this momentum continues.
You can only hope, you know, it's early, but they bounced back from the rough series against the Marlins. So
Yeah.
it seems like they're on a little bit of a better trajectory. I did see earlier that it looks like Kyle Teal is still rehabbing, and they're not certain yet of his return. Do you expect that to have a pretty big impact when he comes back?
Thankfully Edgar Caro, is good. Reese McGuire is doing the job. Honestly, like it'll be really good when he gets back, but it, catching is kind of the one thing the Sox have a little bit of coverage on right now.
Mhm.
And I would rather him just take all the time he needs to get healthy and not rush back.
Yeah, yeah, that's totally fair. That makes a lot of sense. And that's how I feel about Seiya Suzuki and all these
That's
other Cubs
right.
injuries that we keep getting. All right, awesome. Well, that's a little bit of recap on the White Sox over the past week. So now we'll move on to MLB as a whole, taking a quick look at the standings, as of this recording, the Dodgers and the Brewers are currently tied for the best record in the league at 8-2. God, how do the Brewers always do this? I just don't
I
understand.
tell you, man, I tell you, they made some deal with some devil and some ancient religion somewhere, and it's who knows, but
Yeah,
and then yeah, Dodgers are the Dodgers and will continue to be the Dodgers, and then yeah, the Red Sox have the worst record in baseball. Did you see
they're
the sell
terrible.
the team chants
Yes,
yesterday?
I did. Yes, it looks like
Welcome to
fans
the
are.
club.
Yeah, seriously. And like if you had told me that 20 years ago that fans would be chanting "Sell the team," it's the same owner, the same one who broke the curse.
I mean,
You
not
know,
just broke the curse. They have 4 World Series championships this century. I mean,
right,
so let's listen. I sympathize with Red Sox fans because they have not been good for the last few years, but like, calm down.
right,
Like, like
right, exactly.
I,
Just
you
Boston
and I
sports
would
in general.
kill. You and I would kill for 4 World Series championships in a 20-year period or whatever. It was no like a 12-year period or 14-year period or something.
Yeah, well, let's see, 04, 07, 13, and 18, I think
Yeah,
is when they won it.
so
Yeah, so they
14
got
years
so they had 4 World Series in 14 years. We've both gotten one each in like
in our
over
life.
100 years. Yeah, in
Yeah,
our life. Yeah, so calm down, Red Sox fans. It'll really be okay. I did think it was interesting seeing the little dust up with former Cub Wilson Contreras yesterday. He got hit by a pitch from Brandon Woodruff, and apparently the Brewers have hit him with pitches more than any other team, which also makes sense because he's played his entire division up until this year in the NL Central, first for the Cubs and then later for the St. Louis Cardinals. It's like Wilson, like it's gonna happen when you face a team that much. I thought it was kind of a big to do about nothing. He didn't get hit that hard with the pitch. It kind of grazed him. I think it's just more frustration towards the Brewers overall. Um, but I don't know. I think he kind of overblew
I
it a little
agree.
bit.
I agree. I also think the Brewers probably have some sort of game plan about how to pitch to him that a few pitches go, not his way. And
I think
yeah,
they know how to get in his head.
I think so too. And you
Yeah.
know what? Whatever they are doing, it's working.
Yeah, seriously. And speaking, one last thing on the Red Sox. I know Roman Anthony is supposed to be this top prospect. My God, he cannot throw a ball from the outfield. Have you seen any of the clips of that?
No, I heard about him. I have not watched them yet. So
Oh my God.
describe it in all its excruciating detail.
He had a play at the plate and he looked like he had some time and he barely got it to like be on third base. And he was coming in on the throw too. Like he had momentum going towards the plate. And it was awful. I think that guy is going to be destined to be a DH. Him and O'Neal Cruz of the Pirates. I just don't see them being outfielders long term. I don't think they have the defensive capability, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean that is rough. And again, as a White Sox fan, we I've been there many, many times of, you know, stashing infielders in the outfield and all that. So yeah, and that's just what needs to happen because it will hurt you far more than their bat will benefit you of being, in the lineup with poor defense.
Right. I mean, the thing is, though, they have Rafael Devers. So it's like you can only have like one of those in your
The
lineup.
Red Sox?
So, oh, sorry. No, he's on the Giants now. What am I saying? My
Yeah,
bad.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot they traded him. My bad.
Yeah, that was a whole big deal
Yeah,
I
that was a
remember.
whole
But
thing.
but
That's
yeah,
right.
but yes, it's we'll just have to see what happens. And then yeah, well, and then did you see Max Scherzer's forearm injury?
Yes, yes. It sounds like it's nothing too serious. I'm looking on the Blue Jays website, and he is expected to make his next start. But
Oh, there you go.
that's a team that, man, they have gotten hit by the injury bug really badly. And I'm sure some of that is from playing so deep into October last season. But I mean, I'm just looking at their injury report right now. So you got Scherzer on it, technically. He's not on the injured list yet, but he is on this injury report. They placed Addison Barger on the IL today.
Mm.
Alejandro Kirk has a left thumb fracture. Trey Savage has a right shoulder impingement. Shane Bieber, right elbow inflammation. Jose Barrios, right elbow stress fracture. Cody Ponce, his first appearance in like 5 years, he sprained his right ACL and he might miss the entire season. Anthony Santander is still recovering from left shoulder labral surgery. I mean, they are really injured at this point in the season already. So it'll be really interesting to see how the Blue Jays hold up long term. I think they have a
Well,
like. I mean, yeah, go ahead.
well, was it like the Dodgers? Was it? It was 2 years ago. 2 years ago, they were injury riddled all season, and
Yeah,
then finally, like in August or September, they all fully got healthy and then stormed their way to the World Series.
right.
So,
There
like,
is there
that's
is
best
some
case
benefit.
scenario.
Yeah, if that works out like that way, I feel like there is some benefit to having certain guys, miss, the first half of the season and then they're just fresh going into October. And then obviously they're good for the next year, hopefully. So it could work out for them ultimately in the end. But yeah, the Blue Jays have had a really rough go with the injuries so far this season. Is looking around the league some more. Cal Raleigh, he led the league in homers last year, right?
Yeah,
The
and
entire league.
won MVP. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, that's right. He did win MVP. He finally hit his first home run of the year. He got off to a really slow start. He was striking out left and right, but he finally got on the board. Granted, he did have one taken away from him by Joe Adele,
right.
who,
Yeah, one of
man,
four. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, no, he's robbed 3 home runs in that game.
three, three.
Yeah, but still, regardless, it was very impressive how he did that. He had a great game. He's come a long way because I remember at first when he first came up, he couldn't really field for shit. And
Hmm.
now it seems like he's slowly turning into like a Gold Glove caliber outfielder. So that's certainly good for the Angels. So Cal Raleigh finally on the board with his first home run of the year.
He'll get there, and he was in the WBC, and there was some drama involving him there. So like, I he I think he will get there. Some people are already making like Chris Davis comparisons. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think he's much more of a well-rounded player than Chris Davis was.
Yeah, absolutely. I think baseball fans are so quick to judge,
Oh yeah,
and it's like it's a rush to judgment, and it's like it's a 162 game season. This season lasts 6 months. Like,
yeah. People overreact, and we've known that forever. And yeah, I think. I mean, come on, it took him a week and a half to homer, and he got one taken away from him already. Like, we've seen superstars that have hit 40 plus home runs not hit their first home run till May, and then they'll
yeah,
still finish with like 30.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
it'll be fine.
yeah, exactly. Guys get off to slow starts, injuries happen. It's a long season. I still can't believe Cal Raleigh hit 60 home runs last year as a catcher.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
is wild.
insane. A switch hitting catcher.
And he played in 159 games last year.
A lot of that had to be DH, I would imagine.
Yeah,
Right?
I
You can't,
think
you can't. His knees would be falling off right
no,
now.
there's no way. Let me see really quickly. Now I'm curious. Let's see. Last year he played 121 games at catcher and 38 as the DH.
121 is still a massive amount of time at catcher.
Yeah, that's like 75% of their games he was catching.
That's that's a lot. So yeah, if it takes him a little bit of time to warm back up, especially
Mhm.
after also playing WBC, I think that's understandable.
Yeah, definitely. And then some other notes from around baseball really quickly before we get to our baseball at the movies segment. The Rays returned to the Trop for the first time since September 22nd of 2024. Their initial game was their home opener against the Cubs, which the Cubs lost, unfortunately. But really cool to see. Very happy for the franchise and for the Tampa St. Pete area. Obviously, Hurricane Milton was it was quite the storm. It tore the roof off of Tropicana Field. The Rays ended up playing their entire home schedule last year at the Yankees spring training facility, Steinbrenner Field, which is located in Tampa. They had a bunch of rainouts, unfortunately, a lot of rain
Oh
delays.
yeah.
Yeah, so needless to say, playing in an open air stadium in Florida for baseball is not really feasible year to year. But luckily, they were able to get the roof replaced. I know they did some other renovations as well. I did find it interesting that this roof is more translucent than the previous roof, so
I
it'll be
saw
interesting.
that.
Yeah, it definitely looks brighter like during the day, but it'll be interesting to see how that affects players trying to field fly balls throughout the
Yeah, you would
season.
have thought like I would have thought like they would have taken the opportunity for the renovations to like maybe in because that was a pretty common, you know, criticism.
Hmm.
Um, but who knows? No, I haven't really been paying much attention to their situation, like outside of like knowing that the field was being repaired. Does this kill their new stadium plans because of the money
So
put in to renovate this?
no, so they are working on a new stadium still. They were sold this past off season. The new owner is trying. So their current Tropicana Field is in St. Petersburg. The new owner now is trying to build a new stadium in Tampa. And it would actually be right next to Steinbrenner Field, ironically. And it would also be across the street from Raymond James Stadium, which is where the NFL's Tampa Bay Buccaneers play. So from what I've read, they're trying to partner with Hillsborough Community College, where they would basically take over like half of their property, and they would also like build new buildings and relocate things for the school in exchange for building the stadium on that site. It's not necessarily in downtown Tampa. It's actually right by the Tampa International Airport, but obviously it's right across from the NFL stadium, and they want to build a whole, mixed use development, just like every team is trying to do these days. So it looks like the Rays will likely be building a new ballpark once they can get all of the proper approvals and everything. So great question, but it looks like the Trop is just going to be temporary, and I don't think that's why they did like too much of a renovation to it. They just got it back into, playing shape essentially.
Well, I'm glad they're back home because you know, them play, Oakland is choosing to play in a minor league stadium essentially because of kind of their own stupidity.
Yeah.
The Rays did not choose that, so I am happy to see that they are back home to an actual major league ballpark.
Yeah, we don't want major league teams in minor league ballparks. The less of
No,
that, the
it's not
better.
good. It's not good for anyone.
Right. It definitely doesn't help attendance numbers. And then the other big note with happening around the league, 19-year-old Connor Griffin debuted for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Just we'll get touch on this really quickly. I thought he looked really good. I think he could be a stud in this league. He reminds me a lot of Cal Ripken because of his size. And I mean, if he can even be a fraction of that, I feel like the Pirates got a really good prospect here.
And I mean, listen, they're opening the season really hot, so yeah, bring up your hot prospect and go to town. Let's see what happens because
Yeah.
especially with the Cubs, struggling out of the gate, you know, yeah, take advantage.
Yeah, exactly. The division is wide open right now, in my opinion. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what he does. And obviously, they have Paul Skeens, and they've also got Bubba Chandler in the rotation. So the Pirates, they could be a force to be reckoned with. They might make some noise this year. That's still my prediction: is that Paul Skeens is going to start a playoff game for the Pirates this season.
I
You can
like
hold
it.
me to
Yeah,
that.
we will
Yeah.
see.
Yes. So on that note, we will get to our baseball at the movies segment, and we got a good one this week. Ironically, also starring Timothy Busfield, who we won't talk about.
It's like we're just getting him out of the way of
Yeah,
all this whole
yeah,
list right now.
yeah, exactly. We'll get him out of the way early. But the baseball at the movies movie of the week this week is Field of Dreams. One of my personal favorites, honestly, probably arguably one of my favorite movies of all time. It was released in 1989. It stars Kevin Costner as Ray Kinsella, who he also appeared in the movies Bull Durham and For Love of the Game, which we will get to at some point in this segment. Stars James Earl Jones as Terrence Mann, who also appeared in The Sandlot. Ray Liotta as Shoeless Joe Jackson, and Amy Madigan as Annie Kinsella. And the synopsis for the movie, which I won't deny, I copied and pasted from IMDb. Iowa farmer Ray Kinsella is inspired by a voice he can't ignore to pursue a dream he can hardly believe. Supported by his wife, Ray begins the quest by turning his ordinary cornfield into a place where dreams can come true. I will say, it's such a well-made movie. The story is so good. The messaging behind it of, beyond the baseball stuff, it's about a story of redemption in more ways than one for both the 1919 Black Sox and, a father-son relationship with Kevin Costner's character and his dad. And also James Earl Jones, he's kind of looking for redemption as well. So, I think it hits on all the right notes. It was made in a time where, baseball movies were really prevalent, and I also thought it was funny when I was researching this for this segment that there was a movie called Chasing Dreams with Kevin Costner that was released shortly thereafter. It was actually filmed 7 years before in 1982. And according to IMDb, they purposely released it after Field of Dreams and named it Chasing Dreams. He actually has a very minor role in that movie, but they were kind of trying to capitalize on the success of Field of Dreams. And
You
I just
see
thought that
that
was
in
funny.
Hollywood a lot. There's other examples of that, and yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is an all-timer. Um, I might tear up just talking about the movie.
Right.
Um, it's you know, and what's funny is like I've always thought like it hits so well now. You and I are both lucky enough to still have our fathers in our lives right
Mhm.
now. I already imagine a time where that's not the case, and like this movie will hit so much more differently.
Right.
In fact,
Right.
will I really ever be able to watch it? Who knows? Um, it is just extraordinarily well made. It has wonderful performances. It is probably my favorite James Earl Jones performance. It might be my favorite Costner performance too. He's more fun in Bull Durham, but this is the better character.
It's such a different movie. It's so
Yeah.
different. Yeah.
And not even like baseball movies, just like him in general. Like I love him in The Untouchables and other things, but like this is the movie I think of him in. It uses baseball really well as a metaphor for many things, and
Right.
that's what's so great about it. I think there are people that have watched this movie and like I have not showed this to my wife yet, and I want to. Not that she hasn't watched baseball movies with me, but like I know she will love this one, and
Yeah.
I think she will go into it with, okay, we're watching a baseball movie, and I'm hoping that she comes out of it like, oh my god, what did we just watch?
Right.
um but yeah, it is an all-timer. It's the entire last 30 minutes or so where they're back at the farm, and you got Moonlight Graham, who gets his opportunity to play, but then he comes and saves his daughter. Which, by the way, I never really understand. She falls and is
Hmm.
completely unconscious, and then turns out she's actually choking on something. I
Yeah.
never quite understood that, but it's fine. It works.
Yeah.
Um, and then yeah, Ray Liotta is great as Shoeless Joe, and then of course the final scene of him and his dad playing catch is like you, and then the final shot of the movie with the big wide helicopter shot of all the cars driving into the field is magical. See,
I
I'm
think it's
amping
cool.
up about it.
I think it's cool how they shot that, how they had the cars line up and they just had them flash their headlights to make
Oh
it
yeah,
look
it's
like the cars are driving in.
yeah, it's great movie making. And then yeah, we should also talk about that it's a tourist attraction that actually both the Sox and the Cubs have been a part of, which is really
Yes.
cool. The
Hmm.
first Field of Dreams game, of course, I mean, I just, you and I have talked about this. Like, I mean, that was one of the most magical regular season nights of baseball ever. Forgetting even
Hmm.
the game outcome, the Tim Anderson walk off and all that, but like having the Sox and the Yankees walk out of the corn with Kevin Costner there. I mean, that was absolutely incredible.
Yeah. As much as I'm not a White Sox fan, it just felt so poetic that they won that first game in such dramatic fashion. Like
I,
it's
I
Tim
mean,
Anderson hitting the homer into the cornfields. I mean, you just can't beat it.
I really thought, and I think I even said this to you, I really thought this Field of Dreams game should have been like the White Sox should always be playing against another team.
Yeah.
I just like, who did the Cubs play? Was it the Cardinals?
No, it was the Reds.
The Reds. It was still fun. It's a fun
Hmm.
environment to play a game in. It just lacks. I mean, of course, it not being the first one, but like I don't know, it just the White Sox or the 1919 Black Sox are such a important aspect of that movie
Yeah.
that it just feels right. But yeah, this is one of my all time favorite, and like you said, all time favorite movies in general. It's simple. It doesn't hold the audience's hand, which I like about it. It
Mhm.
kind of lets the audience figure things out at the same time that Ray is figuring things out.
Right.
Um,
I agree.
and the score, the music is perfection as
Hmm.
well. Um, uh, yeah, I can go on and on and on, but it's this is we're getting one of our favorites out of the way for quickly, but that's great. We can't do this segment of a podcast and not talk about this movie.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, I've always said it's one of my favorite movies. It probably is my favorite movie. I've seen it so many times. I didn't even have to watch it before this segment.
Yeah.
I'm sure some of these movies I will have to rewatch and or watch for the first time. But this one, I've seen it so many times. I could probably recite it verbatim. The biggest thing that I would say is that it's really good, even if you're not a baseball fan. Even if you don't care about sports, you don't care about baseball. It's a movie about redemption where baseball is the vehicle to tell the story, you know. Whether it's Kevin Costner and his dad, or it's James Earl Jones and his past, or Moonlight Graham, as you were talking about, it's about redemption. And I feel like, everyone, experiences that in some way, shape, or form in their lives. It's just so well made. And as you mentioned, it is a tourist attraction besides the MLB games that have been played there. You can go visit it. I've actually been there. Have you ever been there?
No, my dad and I were planning a trip there, and we were going to go in the summer of 2020.
Ah,
We have not, and we will try to get there. I will say, like, and again, it's great that MLB does stuff there now. We were kind of looking forward to it, like, without all of the additional things that Major League Baseball has put there.
right.
So we're still going to go at some point, but we kind of lost our window to like go for the pure experience.
Well, I will say the movie site itself is not where they play the actual game. They play it like right by it. They build like a temporary stadium or something, and I know they're
Yeah,
developing a whole complex of fields for travel baseball. So you can still see like the movie site pretty much untouched and what it looked like in the actual
but there's
movie.
just a lot of stuff in the area now where there wasn't
Yeah.
before.
Yeah, it's not as remote as it used to be. But that
Right.
is located in Dyersville, Iowa. From Chicago, it's about like a 4 hour drive, I want to say. It's pretty close to the Iowa-Illinois border. Highly recommend checking it out. I went when I was 8 years old. We were on our way to Omaha, Nebraska for a travel baseball tournament, ironically. But yeah, highly recommend checking it out. It's a great time. The field is open. You can run the bases, you can play catch, you can do whatever. And I think the house is open now too, actually.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
so
yeah,
you can go inside there.
I don't have any like negatives or even like a lot of nitpicks about this movie besides the kid falling down.
Yeah,
Um, and Timothy Busfield, but for other reasons.
right.
Um, uh, it's just if you have not watched it, go watch it tonight. Bring some tissues. You're gonna tear up. It's an all timer.
If you don't cry a little bit, then you don't have a soul, at least at the end.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's how I look at it. Awesome. Well, now we got to get to our ratings here. So, what's your Italian beef rating out of five on this
Oh,
one?
it is five deeply dipped Italian beefs out of five, my friend. It is
Yes,
with all the peppers you can imagine. It is. I mean, it does for baseball movies. It does not get much better than this.
I would have to agree. Yes, I would also give it 5 out of 5 Italian beefs. It is just dripping with au jus on this one. Just so good. Just a great story. Highly recommend. And I believe it is available on streaming. I didn't look where exactly, but I know I've seen it. I think it might be on Netflix. So feel free to check.
It is always pop. I've seen it on Netflix. I've seen it on Hulu. It's always popping up. But of course, as I will say every week, go buy a physical copy. It's the only way you ever own anything truly.
Yes, that's his public service announcement for physical media.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, that'll do it for this week's episode. We really appreciate you all tuning in. We will see you again next week for another episode of the Crosstown Baseball Podcast. Thank you so much for joining. And don't forget to follow, like, subscribe on YouTube and Spotify. Make sure to give us a follow on Facebook and Instagram as well. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you soon.